that is the sound of victory. That sound that you make when you plunder the NPCs and take their loot from them after multiple wipes. Stick around and I'll tell you how we did it.
Gameydaddy.
Hello everyone, this is Emmond with gameydaddy and I'm here with another video from Tom Clancy's The Division. Today I'm here to bring you a detailed guide on how to beat Stolen Signal on Heroic. This is the incursion that is in patch 1.6. Now this incursion, though well designed, brings some serious challenges with it. First of all, this incursion is designed for failure and will easily frustrate anyone. But if you're seeking a challenge and how well you can coordinate with your team or folks that you just met from matchmaking, then keep watching this video. Now here are some things to keep in mind. Don't start this mission thinking you're gonna get some amazing MDR or some sweet exotic that you can get, because honestly you can get those from everywhere else for much less effort than you can from this incursion. That being said, let's take a look at this very well put mission that Massive has dropped. Also, I just want to let you know that I don't like this incursion because it's against the Rikers faction. They don't really encourage a lot of cover-based play, especially with those shotgunners that rush you. The grenadiers are force you out of cover, unless you have final measure that is, and the snipers who use an SRS like it's an M1A. Once you pop your head out of cover, they will almost pretty much two-shot you sometimes. Well, I guess they have high rate of fire mags. I'm just giving them all this stuff. Now it's so infuriating sometimes, and that's why I like to give props to all the guys that stuck it out while we played. After much experimenting, discussing, I can just tell you that these guys are true warriors. Now believe it or not, I've only completed this mission twice, and honestly I don't plan on playing it again anytime soon. But because this is a big inquisition within the community currently, here are all the tricks that I have garnered from some of the most resilient players that I've met in this game. Now let's jump straight to the studios, the tactics that we've used, and most importantly how to beat the last aspect of this mission effectively. Also know that there are 3 timestamps for you guys, 3, 4, however many, for you to just jump to the studio that you're looking for. I mean, most people are probably interested in some of the different studios and how my team used our strategy, but I know a lot more people are actually very much interested in the final stage. Now before we dive into all the things that we need to do, let's first make sure that everybody knows that they need a DPS build and a solid shield build that can run about 1 million to 3 million health, according to my method anyways. There are other methods, but this is the way we did it and it worked out for us, and I'm just gonna tell you it's one of the fastest that we've done it before. Now I'm sure that there are numerous ways to complete the mission, but this method is gonna run you through as quickly as possible from my experience. Now we'll start with door number 1 or studio number 1, whatever it is you want to call it. Your goal here is to pick up a fuse box, walk it through a bunch of huge machine guns. You go down the hallway, you have to go right, all that good stuff, and you plug in the fuse. Now you're gonna get a lot of fire, so use a ballistic shield when you're running through this. Now from the footage that you see, I was 2-manning it with this guy on the PTS, and this is footage from the PTS. I didn't have any footage from what we did recently today. I'll get some footage from the other one and you guys will see how we beat it. But we both I just pretty much walked it through without even getting any fire on me in the first place. But one thing I've really noticed is, for it to be really smooth, use 3 ballistic shields and just walk the person from where they are to where they need to be. And now once you do that, you get the door opened. Now once you advance into the other room that's there, a lot of people are saying that the best way to do it, is to use 2 mobile covers. Now that's one of the ways to do it, but I would also argue that if you have a good healer on your team, you guys can actually do the runaround or stay by the stage and use that for cover while you're shooting as well. The mobile cover just kind of gives you a better defined spot to be able to aim and shoot at the boss when the boss comes out. But I'm going to tell you the most important thing when you're playing in this area, whether you're using a mobile cover or whether you're using the stage on the left side or on the right side as your cover, is this: once the boss shows up, everybody needs to take down the boss. This is the first and the primary thing that you need to do. There are going to be rushes and there are going to be ads. Whenever you see the little warning that says take down the rusher, make sure you're watching your right side and your left side, because they're going to spawn from both sides of the room. You're going to get some heavies, you're going to get all kinds of craziness. These shotgunners are not playing, and you're going to be getting grenaded while you're getting hit by sniper fire. So here's the order in which we take them down every time they walk into the room. It's heavy, boss, sniper or heavy sniper boss, heavy boss sniper, heavy sniper boss. So however it is you can take them, make sure you're taking them down in that order once you get here. This is not really a big deal for many people. This is something that a lot of people usually walk through. I think about 5 minutes you should be done with this area. Depends on how fast you can take down the boss. Some people find a dedicated person to play sniper when they're doing this, or everybody on the team just hit the boss, get it over with, and move on. So what I'll suggest is this: whether you're using the mobile cover or whether you're using whatever it is, make sure the boss goes down as fast as possible. Now we're going to move on to studio number 2, or door number 2, which holds a very pleasant surprise. As you're walking in, you go into this room and pretty much, you're going to take down a few NPCs on the hallway. Not a big deal. Melt them. They're a bunch of rushers, but nothing you can't handle. A lot of people use a crowd control, whatever it is. We didn't even bother. If you have enough DPS, like, my method emphasizes how much damage you can deal. You can mostly take down all these NPCs as they are coming to you. Now what's more important is when you go into the room where you have to save the hostage. The floor is wet and so provides some kind of electrocution from time to time, but you can mitigate that by a skill that I learned from my buddy that we were playing with over here, Alex the Great, or whatever his username is. What a great guy, what a funny guy. He was able to be patient with us and show us this method. And pretty much what you do is you throw a mobile cover on this tarp over here and stay in cover. Apparently a lot of people are also using this, but I never knew, so he's the one who showed me and I'm gonna credit him for it. But there is one thing that I would always emphasize, which is once the boss shows up, start hitting him. Now you're gonna get a heavy that's trying to kill the hostage, so the order in which you deal with the enemies are this: the heavy, the snipers, and then the boss. That's everybody would do this action at the same time. The reason I say that is because the faster you hit the heavy, the faster he's down. The faster you hit the snipers, the less disturbance they become for you, and the faster you hit the boss, the quicker he's out of the picture. Because once you take out the boss, all you got to do is clean out the remaining ads and move on. Now also watch for grenades. This boss is like, he spits out grenade literally, like his sweat is a grenade. So he's gonna continue to spam you guys with grenades over and over again. Just watch as he's doing his thing. Also, another thing that you can do is put your grenade on top of the your support station on top of the table behind you. Yes, you're running a support station pretty much almost every time in this mission. So put your support station on the table or on a platform. Even though it's open to the snipers, when the electrocution comes in, it blows up everything that's on the ground. But when you guys are on that little tarp in front of the stage, you don't get electrocuted and you have cover to be able to use. This method is proven. It works like a charm. Literally, you will spend like 4 minutes in here if your team executes this flawlessly. Now, it may take some time. It may take you guys doing it once, twice, or 3 times, but I'm telling you, this is the best possible situation that you can have. So make sure you try it, make sure you're watching, and once again, the order is this: the heavy, the snipers, the boss. Everybody hit them. Don't use a dedicated DPS player. It doesn't matter what you're doing. Everybody on your team is running DPS, so that's why I recommended that everybody run DPS, because this is the best way to go about it. Now we're gonna move on to door number 3, or studio number 3, and honestly this part is actually very easy. It's like a cafeteria, little diner setting, and all your job is to pretty much take down all the NPCs, make sure that you disarm some kind of device, and make sure the NPCs don't tamper with it. So there's gonna be a lot of aggro. Rikers are always running all over the place. Watch out for grenadiers, and the boss is gonna be on some random balcony and he's gonna keep running around. Now one thing that we've noticed is this: if you continue to shoot him, his health is gonna go down, but man, there's just not enough room or enough calm for you to be able to take down the boss. But the boss actually, after a few number of waves, he will come down and try to disengage the device or something. He's gonna push some buttons. Now if you notice one thing, all these other parts and all these aspects of these missions, I'm not putting in too much emphasis, because these recommendations that I'm giving are quite subjective. My emphasis is pretty much on the last part of the mission, but this particular aspect, what you want to do is you want to make sure you can keep everybody alive, open your eyes, make sure that people are, nobody is down. If you need to use your ult, to use it, because honestly, even though this is the easiest of all of them, it's actually very possible to wipe here as well. And if you wipe here, then your team is not coordinating very well. Everybody's doing their own thing. So one of the things you want to do is coordinate very well, make sure that all the bosses are down, make sure people are alive, and watch out for all the running shotgunners and the grenadiers. This is very easy. This should not, anybody who comes to do this mission and cannot beat this part needs to find a team that can help them through. So this is pretty much what you find behind door number 3. Now, the fourth room, or the fourth studio, fourth stage, is pretty much criminal in my opinion. You have to deal with 3 bosses and a minimum of 2 waves per boss, and in all of this you have to make sure that some random minigun doesn't take down the hostages that you're trying to protect and release. Then you have to worry about 1 million shotgunners, 1 million snipers, and 1 million grenadiers, and 1 big heavy that keeps bothering your lives. Oh, by the way, there's a boss that would literally 2-shot you through a wall sometimes. It's quite ridiculous. But here's what you do. Designate who would cover what hostage at any given time, because sometimes it's randomly selected. Also, you want to designate which 2 players would deactivate the minigun switch after a hostage is protected, because there are 3 phases to protecting the hostage. This is the first step by designating to completing this whole mission better, because honestly, when you go in there, you don't want to be in there when you're saying, oh, who's got this, who's got this, who's got this. No, before you walk in, have a plan in place. Now, if you're covering a player, or if you're designating a player, if you have 2 players designated for the minigun or for a hostage, that doesn't mean that another player can't step in to help. It just means that there's already somebody that's responsible for that, and anybody else that's helping is just assisting to make the mission go better. Now, once the minigun stops firing at a hostage, the NPC boss of the first one is going to spawn. I don't care about his name. You want to clean out the boss's armor first. Don't kill him. Do not kill him. This is where a good defense player, or a player that has a strong shield build, comes into play. That person is going to keep him busy while everyone stays close to the entrance to take down the heavy when he spawns, and take down other NPCs as well. After the second spawn of NPCs, you want to make sure, it is imperative, guys or girls, that you take out the last NPC and immediately take down the boss. As you do that, once you take down the last NPC, that boss needs to go down, because if he's not down, if there's too long, he's going to spawn another wave of NPCs, and then it's going to be much more difficult to take him down, and also try to make sure you don't take the NPCs down late, because this is what's going to happen. If you take the boss down before the NPCs are done, you're going to be left with a much more tougher task of protecting the hostages, because now you not only have to protect the hostages, you have to deal with a certain number of annoying NPCs. Now, the snipers are kind of less of a disturbance than anything, so I think you can actually leave them, but the only problem is they might cause another spawn. So it's kind of like, if you don't take out all the NPCs, you're not sure of what's going to happen. But if you take them all out and then take the boss out immediately, you're most likely sure that if it's a second wave, that's not a first wave, a second wave, that you can get no respawns after that. Now, this process is going to repeat itself with the prompt to protect 2 hostages for the second time. Now, the designated players know exactly what they're meant to do, while the minigun deactivators, they are supposed to go to the top right of the controls to deactivate the minigun for the second time. Now, other players are going to have to help, because with the spawn bosses, the NPCs, and the snipers, this leaves you very vulnerable. They're going to be shooting you from the stairs to damage you, to stop you from deactivating this minigun. Now, this is going to be followed by a second boss spawn as well. Also, note that the minigun, doesn't start firing the hostage until around 5 or 6 seconds. So this is something I wanted to put in here, and very, very important. So around the 5-second mark, I think it's around 6 seconds, the minigun starts to fire towards the hostage. Now, if you want to do something, you can cut it really close before you go there and pull up your shield. Now, don't whip out your shield before it's time, unless you're sporting around 3 million shield health, and even still, there's no need. The reason you don't want to do that is because your shield is already generating a lot of threat, so the minigun is just going to start firing at you, reduce the health of your shield, and then when it's time for you to protect your hostage, you're not going to be able to do it. Now, if you're not comfortable with cutting it too close to, the 6-second mark to defending your hostage, you can do it around the 10-second mark, the 9-second mark, or the 8-second mark. That gives you, 4 or even 2 seconds to be able to get in place and block them properly. You repeat the same process of taking down the heavies and taking down the NPCs. At the second wave, once you take out the last NPC, take down the boss as well. Don't kill him in the first spawn. Make sure you time this as precisely as you can, because if you don't, you're going to make your task unnecessarily difficult. Now, the final phase requires you to defend all 3 hostages. This is the final phase of the final phase. The 4th person is going to assist when needed. Now, this is where communication and prior planning with your teammates really matters. I kept losing my nerve every time we kept getting wiped because I was so excited. I'll get there and I'll block the wrong side, and the minigun is going to take down my hostage. So one thing you want to do is you want to make sure you calm down. After defending your hostage, there's also a minigun switch that's going to show up right in front of the platform. Everybody rush to this and use as much as 3 shields. If you have a turret, anything that you're using, this is where you throw it all together. I also recommend throwing in a revival link. I'm telling you, man, we rushed that thing and I saw like all these NPCs coming, and I knew they were going to be shooting right at the person that's trying to get that minigun deactivated. So what did I do? I popped my survival link, man, or revival link, sorry, because it gives everybody full health, and you're taking so much damage and it's very easy to wipe here. Now, if it becomes a mess and you guys can't do it at the first attempt, fall back towards the entrance, do some running around, stay away from the minigun, and then go again for it. But honestly, the first attempt is always your best chance of getting it done. In this round, you have to take the final boss, Bobcat, down. Surprise, he's got a survival link. When he gets tired of taking a bunch of damage, he'll just go blue. Now, someone, stole some shade tech and sold to him, because I don't know how a Riker can get his hands on some survival link. Now, whenever he turns blue, just run away, take down other NPCs, go shoot those snipers because they're very annoying, shoot the heavies, shoot the other shotgunners, but just leave him alone. Make sure you keep an eye on him. Once the blue wears off, whoever sees it first, call to the other team. Everybody run and take him down. Now, he's gonna turn blue multiple times, but just leave him alone and take out the heavies and the snipers and other NPCs. Once he's down, then you can clear the area. Now, I learned this from one of my trusted buddies, Niv Nobius. This dude literally hooks me up with some of the best, let me just say, some of the best advice on doing some of these missions. Another thing that, Niv Nobius would recommend is this: one person can run the tactical link when this boss comes out. When he's no longer blue, that person can pop that tactical link and everybody can just rail on him as quickly as possible. That's the most effective way I think you can do it, because if everybody drops all that damage on him at the same time, at that speed, you're most likely going to be able to clean out a lot of his armor as quickly as possible. Now, this needs a lot of patience, it needs a lot of communication, and I'm telling you, anyone can do it. In fact, the first time I completed it on Heroic, one of the guys had left after we wiped so many times, and we match made with a total newbie. Like, we asked him, so do you know how to do this? And his answer was, nope, I'm new. So we told him exactly what to do. He followed the instructions, and on the 3rd try, we completed it. Can you imagine that? We had done this thing like 5 times together, and a newbie joins us and just pays attention to what to do, and we finished it. So this mission is not impossible, and if you follow this guide, it certainly does help. Now, feel free to modify it to suit your team, or do whatever you want with it, but in the last phase, it's almost non-negotiable that you have 4 shields, because the NPC accuracy, the NPC damage is so increased. Also, make sure you're also running DPS, running support station, running ads. You're not going to need a mobile cover in here, so you're running things that would work so well for crowd control on the additional stupid NPCs that are running around. Now, make sure that you understand that the precision of the minigun is sometimes ridiculous. Sometimes you're standing in front of the hostage you're protecting, and it will still shoot them. So be ready for some disappointment unnecessarily while you're doing this mission. Anyways, that's my spew. If you have a better methodology, please leave it in the comments below. Don't forget to drop a like and subscribe to support this channel and get more updates. I appreciate you guys so much for listening and taking time to watch this video. If you have any additional tips, go ahead and add them. This is just an open conversation, because what we want to do, honestly, is we want to get to the point where we're running this mission like Lexington. But until the knowledge of how to beat this mission is well widespread, I'm going to stay away for a while. So thank you so much for listening and watching. I appreciate you guys, and peace.